Hey y'all, it's Gypsy. Well, this is the first video in my Major Arcana long series on the art of tarot. So I'm going to just get right to it. The first thing that I did in trying to prepare for doing this video was to come up with some sort of a system in order to make it easier on myself to quickly identify cards that were very traditional style and versus those that were a little bit further away from what we expect of these particular Major Arcana cards. So what we're starting with today is the Fool. So the Fool is going to be our focus. What I did was I came up with sort of a weight rating. See how weighty a card is. So here's my little scorecard, and you can see on here, I know I totally geeked out on you guys. It's got basically elements that we see in the Rider-Waite representation of the Fool. And I take and made kind of a axis this way. I don't know if it's Y or X, and frankly I don't care. This way is what the elements are that we're looking at. And then here I listed all the different decks that I that I have. And then I kind of scored them down here. These are the things that we see in almost all of the Fool cards, and then on this side are the ratings that each card got. So I'm going to start out by talking about let me show you the Rider-Waite card first. Okay, so here's the Fool card according to Rider-Waite, first of all. We're all probably very familiar with this. Now, what you're looking at here, as far as the major elements, first of all, I noticed that in most Fool cards, the figure is a male. It is a man, and in this case, it is a man. It's, honestly, it's not a very manly man, but it is a man nonetheless. And I made an interesting observation. Some of these are actually kind of androgynous looking. Another attribute that we also see of the Fool is the little hobo sack, little bag here that he's carrying. That is that's a very common element that we see in the Fool card. Also notice that the sun shows up a lot. So the sun is also a common element. The flower in his hand is another common element that we see a lot. The animal companion down here at the bottom, that is also something that is very common in the Fool card. And then let's see what else. Oh, looking out, the focus, you see how he's looking out? You see how he's looking out for, kind of not really looking where he's going? His eyes are to the sky. That is another common element. And the cliff. Having this where he's walking off the edge of a cliff here, like he's going off into uncharted territories, is another common theme in the Fool cards. Then finally, the feathers in the hat. In this one, you can see he's got a big red feather right here, up here at the top. There we go, up here at the top. Keeps doing that. This is going to be fun using this technical little gadget. Anyway, so those are the things. The male, it's a male, hobo stick, animal companion, the cliff, the focus, the perspective, looking out, flower in the hand, the sun, and feathers in the hat. So we see that in a lot of the Fool cards. This is the standard. Alright, so I'm going to start out by discussing the Visconti version of the Fool. So here he is in all of his glory. Now, I'm not going to go into every element on every card, or this video will be like an hour and a half long, but I am going to touch on the items that he has in this, as far as, in relation to the other cards. He has the feathers in his hair, which, to me, as far as symbolizing, the feathers symbolizing something, I see that as a symbolism of freedom, being able to have that, I guess, ignorance of the world. There's no fear. It's just you fly away and do what you want to do. A certain freedom, a certain silliness also, because I mean, big feathers on your head are kind of goofy. And a lot of decks that you show gestures, which I have several versions that show court gestures. The feather in the hat, it's kind of a whimsical silliness. A foolish kind of a look. So there's that. He also has a stick. Now, in Rachel Pollack's book, 78 Degrees of Wisdom, the stick she refers to as being, it's actually a wand, but he doesn't realize he's a fool. He doesn't realize the power that he has. So he holds it very casually and not as confidently as some of the other Major Arcana cards do. And so we see in this example, he doesn't have the hobo sack, but he does have the staff, and he's just kind of carrying it over his shoulder, like, you know, in case he needs to knock some fruit out of a tree, he's got a tool, but he doesn't realize that that's actually a wand, and that he actually has quite a bit of power. He doesn't have the animal companion. He does. That's really, you know, this first one. Oh, cliff. We have the cliff there. So you see the edge, you know, walking right along the edge there, not really paying attention to where he's going. He just knows he's going. He's just walking along. In this case, maybe he's hobbling, because it looks like his legs might be tied together. I can't really tell. I'm not sure what that's about. But there's the Visconti Tarot. Okay, we have Minchiati. This one's very, very different. He doesn't have a lot of the same stuff. Now, he has, you know, he's holding it much more deliberately and seriously than the other representations of the Fool. He's actually looking like he may be using that as a weapon. He also has the feathers in the hat, you know, making him, you know, seem like he's maybe a little bit of a simpleton, maybe. Not really, you know, that's not a smart man's hat. But what's interesting in this card is that you've got the two children. It actually reminds me of Charles Dickens' story, The Christmas Carol, where the ghost of Christmas Present has the two children, Ignorance and Want, under his robe. And obviously this card came out a whole lot longer, you know, way, way before Charles Dickens' book came out. But, you know, to me, that is what they remind me of. The frustrations of, you know, being a fool and not knowing what to expect, not knowing, you know, not being prepared for all of the things that life throws at you. Ignorance and want are two things that, you know, if you're not used to having to think and do for yourself, these two things are going to become major issues that may overwhelm you and may discourage you. And as you can see, this Fool here is looking a little overwhelmed. He's got kids crawling all over him, and he's got some balls on a stick. He's about to take them down a notch. So there's the Minchiati version. The Fool of Marseille, we see here, we got a dog pulling at his pants. The dog is smiling, but this is actually, that's not a dog. I don't know. It looks kind of like it might be a raccoon. I'm not sure what this animal is. Probably a dog or a cat, but it looks like a coon to me. He's got the silly hat. I don't know that that's necessarily a feather in his hat. It's red here, but it could be perceived that way. Still a silly hat. He's looking off. He's looking forward. Just moving right along. We don't see the edge of the cliff here, but it's probably coming up. And then you have the bag and the stick here. Now, this is where we see the bag come in. Rachel Pollack describes this bag as being that which holds his experiences, his bag of memories, so to speak. So you know, this is basically I guess the small amount of past experiences that he has. He doesn't let them hold him back. It's not heavy. It's not something that slows him down. But he does have them, and but he moves on despite that. And let's see. He also has, you know, again, we see here this is kind of decorated, so it is, you know, probably more than just a stick holding a bag. That's his wand. He doesn't know it. So there is the Marseille version. Now, the animal, I do want to say, the animal, according to, and I'm quoting the book right here, the animal in a lot of these cards represents forces of nature and the animal self of man. And then she goes on to say, you know, in my words, you know, everybody has kind of a primal side to them. We try to behave, we try to keep ourselves civil, we try to, you know, keep ourselves within the social expectations of our, you know, civilized behavior. But at the same time, it's very important to be true to yourself. Don't lose yourself in other people's expectations. My take on it, my wording is, you know, basically, you've got to be true to your inner self and let your inner demon kind of come out once in a while, or it's going to eventually chew its way out. And that's when you start to lose your mind. You start to go cray-cray. So it's important to, you know, don't, hey, you want to see the back of the card? It's important to let your crazy out sometimes. It's okay, it's natural, it's necessary. You gotta acknowledge your pet there once in a while, or it's just gonna rip your pants right off. So there's that. Okay, old cards aside. I'm gonna go ahead and skip up to the weightiest card I had, according to my little rating system, and that is the Illuminati Tarot. So here we see the Illuminati Tarot card, the Fool. It has every, like every aspect, I believe, except, nope, it had feathers in the hat. It had everything. It had all of them. This is basically just a reproduction of the Rider-Waite Fool. So I'm just going to put them right up next to each other so you can see what I'm talking about. I mean, that is like totally just a beautiful version of the Rider-Waite one. And I have a feeling we're going to see this quite a bit with this deck because I have already looked at it and done a review. It's very weighty. It's a very weighty deck. It has a high weight rating. So, you know, and it's gorgeous. I'm just going to let you look at that one more time. The card is just beautiful. Okay. These are the next runners up. Looks like the Tarot of the Magical Forest got a rating of 7 out of 8. And then the other two cards here got 6. So here's the Tarot of the Magical Forest. And as you can see here, we have the sun, we have the forward perspective, we have the cliff, we have the hobo, we have the stick, also the wand. We have the animal companion. We have pretty much everything except the feather in the hat. That's the only reason it didn't get a perfect 8 score. Because there's no feather in the hat. You know, but again, I mean, that's not, it's not, you still have the whimsical look. You know what I mean? You have the little, he's got his little coat on. He's ready to go out into the world. And then the two runners up, these were tied for 3rd place, is Tarot of Dreams and Steampunk Tarot. Now, if you look at these two cards real quick, in the Steampunk Tarot, we still have the little animal friend there. This one's a little bit, you know, kind of like the magical forest. It's well behaved. It's not trying to, you know, jump up on him. See, this dog's jumping up too, but it's not tearing his pants off. This one's a little animal. This one's actually just chewing his pants off. This one's just like, hey, right here, don't forget about me. The guy's like, yeah. Oh, the flower. This is where the white flower comes in. I forgot about that. The white flower, according to what Rachel Pollack writes, and again, I'm going to quote her, passions raised to a higher level. Roses symbolize passion, and the color white symbolizes purity. And the Greeks referred to this as, you know, the love of Eros, which who is the god of love. And you know, it's a higher form of love. It's not just based on sexuality. You know, it's not loving. It's real love. It is a love of everything. It's a love of nature. It's a love of people. It's a love of animals. It's a love of sunsets. It's the love and the positive flow that basically makes the world go round. I believe she says something about it's the animator of the universe. You know, it's what makes things go. It's what makes babies thrive in the womb and, you know, develop. It is the ultimate love. So that is what that rose represents. A passion, a genuine passion for life, which is indicative of the Fool. Which is not a foolish thing, it's just in the Fool card. I actually like the Fool card. I like that card a lot. So, Steampunk Tarot. He doesn't have a hobo bag, but he is a chimney sweep. And so the analogy of the bag holding his experiences, you know, to me here, a chimney sweep, his bristles are his experiences. You know, those things have been through every house he's been to. Those are the tools of his trade. So it's kind of cool because it still does represent that same thought. And again, if you look real close, this card is dark. It's hard to see. We got a green feather in the hat. There is a green feather in that hat. So that's still there. There is no flower. However, you know, the dog is white. And so, you know, it can be argued that, you know, the representation of the pure love is still there. Again, he's not jumping up. So, you know, in my opinion, that sweet little puppy down there, he can represent the animal in all of us, and he can still represent, you know, that Eros type of love, because he's looking up at his chimney sweep master with that just complete adoration that dogs have, because I just love dogs. Anyway, so there's the Steampunk Tarot, and then we have the Tarot of, what was it? The Legacy of the Divine Tarot by Sir Marchetti. And here we have, now he's not going off a cliff. This one's on a roof. I'm going to go ahead and correlate that with cliff. You know, he's standing on the edge and he's looking out. So you have the perspective as well. Yeah, there's just no flower in this one. And there's no sun. You know, I noticed in a lot of the other cards they have a sun up in the corner there. Just like Rider-Waite had. There's a sun. Versailles deck did not have that. It didn't get its gutter rating. This is at dark. This is at nighttime, so obviously there's no sun. There's no sun in this card, but it looks like he might have it tucked in his box of experiences up there. You know, that's kind of a combined effort. The you know, the dog is hanging out down here, holding on. So he's not biting him. He's holding on to the ribbon. He's taking care of himself. He's survival. He's rah, 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 scrapper, little scrapper. He is white again, so you still have that symbolism of purity. And then you don't have feathers in the hat, but you know, they're these flame-like headdress thing that he wears. And we see the Fool, in this particular deck, we see the Fool several times. I think Ciro does that in a couple of his decks. In Legacy of the Divine and in the Tarot of Dreams, you see the Fool in different cards as you go through the journey of the Fool through the Major Arcana. So I really like the way he did that. But here he's wearing his headdress. In a couple other cards, it seems like I think he takes it off. We'll see it later. He's on the edge of a cliff. He is on an hourglass, which I think is a very interesting addition to the Fool card. You know, time passing, and the fact that this hourglass is fresh. It's just started. His journey's just beginning. He hasn't done anything yet. He hasn't really had a lot of experiences to cram into his little box, except maybe a sunset or sunrise. There's a sun rising. It's the beginning of a new journey. Yeah. Yeah, that's good. I like that. Write that down. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and just go through the rest of them. You know, like, okay, here's one that's funny. Whenever I was talking about, you know, the beast within, you got to let it out or it's going to eat you alive. It's going to chew its way out. We see that here with the Deviant Moon Tarot. Now, again, there's no sun, there's no feather, there's no flower. The focus is off on the opposite side. He's kind of looking down at the fish that seem to be eating him. So maybe he tried to, you know, deny his true self and is now being held accountable by these precious little flesh-eating fish. So there's the Deviant Moon Tarot. And then we have, let's see, these are some other dark ones. We'll go ahead and get rid of do the dark cards. I've got the Tarot of Vampires by Ian Daniels, and then I've got the Fool from the 1977 England Alchemy deck, or Alchemy England deck, I don't know. We have an animal companion here. We also actually have a white rose. If you look right here in his hand, we have a beautiful, come on Rose, we have a beautiful white rose in his hand, representing that passion. And then of course up in this hand he's holding a chalice. You know, again, now he doesn't have a bag like a hobo to hold his experiences. Vampires' experiences have to do with blood flowing, which is what's in this cup. He has experienced bloody chaos. He is hanging on to the edge of a crypt, so he's not on the edge of a cliff. And while we don't actually see the sun, we see that it may be on its way. So, you know, it's peeking through the clouds. We have an animal companion here that is the bird, and I really like the way this is done because it shows the connection between man and animal, and that they're both kind of in the same position with their arms outstretched, or wings outstretched in the case of the bird. And so I think that's pretty cool. We also see the red roses here, which, you know, to me, I'm always backwards, the camera, you know, another symbol of passion. Red is the color of passion. But of course this here represents the true nature of universal love. And at the bottom there, see those masks, and I know that those symbolize something because I've already read it in the book and it's not with me right now in my head, so I'm not going to repeat it or look it up. I don't want to get into the unique symbolism between all the cards, or again, I'll be talking forever. We're going to try to keep it to the weight stuff. Let's see. Some other representations. Let's see. We see jesters a lot. All four of these cards, we see jesters. You see that? There's the Arcana Tarot. We have a jester. And then we have the Tarot of Dreams. Another Ciro Marchetti deck. I'm sorry. This is the Gilded Tarot. The Gilded Tarot, we have a jester. And then we have in the Alchemy deck, we have a jester there. Looking pretty creepy. Now, he actually is holding his wand a little bit more confidently. He's not holding it like a random little stick he found on the side of the road. He's actually holding it like a wand. You know, now whether or not he understands its power remains to be seen. It does have a jester's hat on the end of it, so that's kind of an interesting note. And then, you know, he does have a rose here. It's kind of hard to see, but he's got a black rose in his hand. Obviously there's no sign of purity there, but there is that sign of passion. And let's see. We do have gold, so I guess that could sort of represent that sun, you know, the energy of the sun right there. You see it down here at the bottom. There's gold, and then there's a frog here that's got a gold necklace in his mouth. So that's 1977 Alchemy deck. Ciro Marchetti's. There's a lot of symbolism here that is unique to this card. I'm not going to go into all of it. But he has the balancing ball rather than being on a cliff. Kind of like his Legacy of the Divine representation where he's on an hourglass. Here he's balancing on a ball that has a star on it. He is not there. You see, it looks like the Invisible Man. The Fool has no face in this deck because he could be anyone. He is everyone. His little companion there is a cat who is playing with a butterfly, which represents metamorphosis and change, which is something that the Fool is anticipating. And then, of course, he has the world at his fingertips here. He's ready to embark on a new journey. There's no sun, but there is a moon. Perhaps the moon, you know, has an effect on him and his decisions for his future. So there's that. And then, let's see, the Gilded Tarot. Again, we see him balancing on his wand. So, you know, again, it's not being used for its power. It's being used as an entertainment device, aka a stepladder. And he also has a ring in this one, which he has in his other card, which, you know, represents continuity, the constant cycle. You know, the Fool's journey. We're on the Fool's journey every day. Just because we get through the Major Arcana doesn't mean it's never going to happen again. We cycle through it constantly. So this is the Fool's journey. Every time he embarks on a new journey, he starts out as the Fool. And then, of course, you have all the alchemist symbols and all that kind of stuff above it. The Arcana Tarot's decks has a Fool also. He's also holding his wand, you know, with a full fist. I don't see a cliff, but it's implied that he's balancing in some way because he is up on one leg, bending backwards. We have the moon in the background, you know, indicating I guess I'm trying to think of representing that primal tendency, you know, that we see in the moon, you know, being influenced by supernatural forces, by your intuition, following your gut. That's what the Fool's doing. He's just going with the flow. You know, feels good, do it. So that's kind of, I think, what the moon represents here in this card. So there's the Arcana Tarot. The Fool. Now, here's one that I just really love, and it's Shadowscapes Tarot. Every one of their cards are just absolutely gorgeous. And so here, we have the animal companion, and it's actually the clever fox. And then we have a representation of the sun down here at the bottom in this sphere. We still have that warmth and that energy from the sun. We have butterflies, and we have bees. You know, the butterflies, again, indicating metamorphosis. Now, we don't have a staff. We do not have a bag of memories. We do have feathers. We have feathers in the hair. And, you know, I think, you know, I'm starting to think maybe that is another example of that connection to nature. You know, to me, it represents free spirit, definitely. But I wonder if it also kind of represents a closeness to nature. But I guess... well, I guess that's not... no, that doesn't have to go hand in hand with free spirit. You'll see... oh, she's also got a sun tattoo on her foot. I just noticed that. I've never noticed that. It's really hard to see it in this crappy video, but she has a sun tattoo on her foot. So there is the Shadowscapes Tarot version of the Fool. And again, she's on the edge of the cliff. She's got her arms out, kind of like the vampire dude did. So, you know, and she's also got the bird animal companions. You know, which to me indicates ultimate freedom, being able to fly and not being bound to the ground. You're not bound to the earth. I love that. I love that. And then we have two that don't have a whole lot of stuff in them. These two are both kind of simple cards. They don't have a whole lot of stuff to look at. One is the Hobbit Tarot, and the other is the Tarot of the Hidden Realm. I really like this card, though, because it has that childlike quality, you know, that I think of whenever I think of the Fool, is that, you know, just not scared of anything, because why should you be? Everything's so cool and new and exciting and colorful and all those kinds of things. He has the flower in his hand, which does indicate that passion, but it's pink. And to me, that just represents kind of a type of innocence, that naivety. You know, I have little girls, and the color pink to me, it's a happy ignorance. It's a happy naivety. It's what, you know, it's why childhood is so much fun. You know, they find pleasure in the little things because they are full of that universal love. They've not had enough experiences to jade them yet. And here he is just enjoying his little animal companion, which is this cool looking moth. You know, and you know, he doesn't have feathers, but he's got some crazy hair. And I just love this picture. He just looks so happy. It's a happy picture. So anyway, I like that one. I like that fool. I like that fool. And then we have the Hobbit. That's another one. It's pretty simple. You know, obviously this is Bilbo going off on his, embarking on his journey. The sun is going down here, it looks like, as he walks away from the Shire and what he knows. And he has his stick, and he has his bag, and he's heading out. He does not have a white flower, but obviously he is wearing a white shirt, so the color white is still present. He's not looking forward in this card, which I think is interesting. He's looking back, which is similar to the Patrick Valenz's representation of the Fool. You see this Fool looking backward rather than forward. I'm not sure how I feel about that, other than, you know, the Fool is typically uninhibited. Like I said, his experiences don't hold him back. But maybe this is just showing, you know, whenever kids leave home for the first time, there's that little feeling, you know, where you're just, that moment of uncertainty where it's like, can I really do this? Am I really going to be able to, like, pay all my own bills and make sure I change the oil in my car? And what if I get a flat tire? And, you know, how much ramen can I buy with $25? You know, those kinds of things. You know, maybe maybe they're having those kinds of thoughts where they're like, whoa, I don't know if this was such a great idea. But I don't know. I like the positive, I'm going to walk off the cliff kind of attitude. Okay, last two. Saving the best for last, because these two are two of my very favorite representations of the Fool. I love Paulina Cassidy. And, oh, these aren't the last ones, but these are the last ones that I'm talking about that are close to the Rider-Waite system. These are both, you know, they preserved a lot of the Rider-Waite symbology. Is that a word? Nah. Here is the Paulina Tarot of the Fool. So you see we have the staff there. There is no bag. Well, nope, I take it back. There is a bag. It's hanging off right here. So this Fool is not using his staff or her staff. This is one of those androgynous ones I'm talking about. It's hard to tell what it is. I'm going to go with girl here, because it's got these little Pippi Longstocking little things here. So we have, you know, we've got the bag, and then we've got the staff, and he's not using it as a, you know, as a carrier, but it's covered in flowers, and he's using it as a walking stick. So I think it's still power that is unrecognized. We're walking off a cliff, so we have that. The little hairdress thing, definitely got some feathers going on there. And, you know, I don't know if these are supposed to be like phoenix birds or what this is. That makes me think of the rebirth, you know, starting anew, starting fresh, like the phoenix, aka the butterflies, and some of the other cards. And then, of course, we have the animal companion here. And, you know, reminding them. And in this particular deck, I know this because I've already been through it, this is similar to the dog that is in the moon card. And so you could correlate that to some of these other cards that have shown a moon rather than the sun, and being connected to your subconscious self, and connecting to your gut feeling, and letting spirit just guide you wherever it is you feel like you need to be going. So there's that. And then we have the Joie de Vivre deck. And this is obviously a girl here. Let's see. And we have the hobo bag here. And we also have a staff. So this one's got a hobo bag and a staff. This one just has the bag This one has a bag on a stick, and it has a wand, like a staff. I'm sorry. It has a bag on a stick and a staff. We have another funny headdress. If you look up here, we've got butterflies. We've got butterflies. And then this is a black widow, which I think is pretty interesting. You know, she's not even scared of it. She's not even really paying attention to it. But it's like, hey, by the way, there's a deadly spider hanging off of your staff. Just so you know. You might want to pay attention. I mean, I know you're a fool and all, but like if you want to make it to the next card, you should probably do something about the spider hanging off your stick. There's that. And then the bat here is her it's her primal side, her animal companion. And I just love the color in the outfit. I just think, and I love the little combat boots. That's just so cool. But you know, you see that she's here. She seems to be attracted by this, you know, big pretty flower that's growing, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, that's so pretty." Oh, by the way, there's a step off here. You might want to look down. So yeah. So there's that. Now, the alternative, the different ones I have, this is my least favorite card, and I hate to be negative, I really do, but the Inner Realms Tarot, I need to do a deck challenge with this video, with this deck. The Fool, we see the figure of a human, we have a human form that is moving, looks like it's walking forward. There. That's how excited I am about this one. I mean, it's cool artwork. I'm going to struggle with this one for the whole series, I'll tell y'all right now. She does have keywords on here, which represents what the Fool means. Beginning, innocence, fresh start, blind faith, all the stuff I've kind of said. I like blind faith. Hadn't thought about that one. And then these come from the other two tarot systems. This is the Wildwood Tarot, and in this book, in this deck, they call it the Wanderer. You can see here he's walking off the cliff. There's no animal companion in this one. There's no white flower in this one. Oh, I forgot to look at the white flower of the Paulina decks, but there's no white flowers in those. It's just a fool stepping off into, onto a rainbow, basically. So he looks kind of distracted, kind of like this one. You know, he's following something bright and shiny. So there's that, and it looks like this is a man also. I think almost all of these are men. I know the Paulina Tarot isn't, but I think the rest of them are. So there's that one. And then we have the Apprentice is what it's called in the Gods of the Machine steampunk deck. And I love this. If you look here, oh, you can't read the plaque. Here, I'll read it for you. It says, "Bicycles left here will be removed." That's funny. So we see here that we still have the gold, the representation of the power of the sun. And we have the feather in the hat. We have the, looking forward. He's looking into this portal of sorts, into this clockwork portal, to pursue, maybe getting ready to pursue his adventure, or to find that inspiration to go forward. If you can see, I guess it's not easy to see. It's like a 3D view. It's like a tunnel. Excuse me. And it goes all the way back, and there's this opening at the back of the room. Can you kind of see that? But he has to walk through all that first. It looks like a bit of a perilous venture to go out there and do that. So that is that's a pretty interesting card. I kind of like this one. Oh, and if you look here, he's got a stick and a bag. He's got a wand in his pocket and a bag in his hand. So he's got his tools. He's got what he needs to set out on his journey. That's it. That is all of the cards that I have to talk about as far as the Fool goes. Some of these are really great cards. Like I said, I'm a sucker for Paulina Cassidy. I also really like Cyril Marchetti a lot. I was going to try to think of which card was my favorite card to share with you guys. Honestly, I'm really not sure. I really appreciate several different versions of these. I think my favorite versions of the Fool, now that I'm sitting here looking at it, would probably have to be these three. These three, and I'm not going to put them in order of which ones I like better, because I can't even choose between the three of them to tell you, one card. But these three here are my favorite representations of the Fool. This one I love just because it's so different, and I love Paulina's artwork, and I love the punkiness of it. It's different, but I still get the messages loud and clear. I love Paulina Cassidy's artwork. I picked this one just because, again, I love Ciro Marchetti's work. I really like the way that he represented these ideas in this card. I think that's really interesting. You know, it's just an interesting way to look at it, to look at the meaning. And then, of course, I love the Illuminati Tarot just because of the detail of the artwork itself. It has nothing to do with the preservation of the symbolism or anything like that. It is all about the fact that I like the traditionalness of this. You know, just as much as I like the punkiness of this, I love the trueness to. It's like he took Rider-Waite's pictures, and just tricked him out. He pimped that deck. He pimped the fool, man. So there you go. Those are my favorites. What are your favorites? What did you guys like out of these? What was your favorite Fool card? You know, do you have another deck that you want to share? Do a video response. I'd love to see it. I know you can't tag it or attach it to this video like we used to be able to do, but if you do it, tell me, and I'll go watch your video, because I think this is really interesting stuff, and I'm already excited, and I can't wait to do the next one. So anyway, you guys have a great weekend. Blessed be, and I will see you guys on the flip side.